Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. So today again we are continuing with the standards in auditing, and the standard under consideration for the lecture today would be SA 299, responsibility of the joint auditors. Right? So in the previous lecture we have already discussed, or we have already drawn a distinction between the joint auditors and the other auditors. Right? And you know it very well that the topic or the responsibilities of joint auditor will be dealt by SA 299, whereas when you talk about using the work of the other auditor, you will refer to SA 600. Right? It's a different series altogether. It's a different standard altogether. Right? Now you know who the joint auditors are and who the other auditors are. So joint auditors are the people who are working together on that particular entity. Right? You're working as a team, as an engagement team. You have divided the work among yourself on the same client, and each one of you have the responsibility for the work that you have taken up. Right? At the end, when you're reporting, you are not bound by the majority. You can issue your separate report if you do not agree with the report that the other joint auditors are issuing. You can do that. That is no problem. You are never bound by majority. Got it? So joint auditors you've seen. So in the previous lecture actually we have already discussed in detail about the responsibilities of joint auditor. Right? We'll give a brief recap to the entire discussion and move on with the remaining two portions. Right? So let us start with it. You have the division of work to discuss with. The first topic, division of work. Right? And in the previous lecture we have already discussed in detail about the division of work. How do you divide the work? What do you need to divide? Why do you need to divide? Right? So how do you divide the work? You divide it with mutual discussion. Right? So what are the basis on which you are going to divide your work? One we have is the identifiable units or the specified area. Other than that, if that is not practicably possible, right, if you're not able to identify the units, if there are no identifiable units that you can divide the work on the basis of, then you have other options, which is by item of asset, liability, income or expenditure. Right? You can start the work, you can divide the work, you can say, okay, you take up assets, I take up liability, you third one, you take up the income, and you fourth, take up the expenses. And if you don't want to divide it on that way, you are also free to divide the work on the basis of the period. 4 months, 4 months, 4 months, 4 months. 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. 4 quarters divided. A third quarter, it's a common quarter. All of you, let's work on that. You can divide the work any ways you want. The only thing that is important is that it needs to be documented and communicated. Documented means the entire division of work should be documented in one place. That okay, this area is the responsibility of this auditor. Right? And then you will have to communicate the same to the entity. So that will help the entity to better coordinate with you for the progress of the audit. Right? He will have to allocate specific personnel with specific auditor. That will be beneficial for the management also, that yeah, if it is identified that if expenses are taken up by Mr. X or Mr. A, income is taken up by Mr. B, then the people in the entity who have the knowledge or who are dealing with those assertions, right, those people can work directly in hand with the auditors, with the specific auditors who have the responsibility of that particular area. Right? And at the end, all of them would have joint responsibility for the undivided and important areas. If there are areas that you have not divided, right, then all the auditors will have a same common responsibility, joint responsibility for that undivided area. And then when you have divided the work appropriately, you have communicated with everything, you have everything documented, right, that you have the common responsibility area identified, then you move on with the work. And once your work has started, you will have to coordinate the work. Right? How do you coordinate the work? First coordination would require the coordination of work on the area that has the joint responsibility. Over there you will all coordinate the work. Okay, how do we go ahead with that? You will discuss. You will work together in hand, because that is an important area, a risky area, and that area has a common responsibility of all the joint auditors. right? Apart from that, when you are working on your specific area and you come across any information, right, or you come across any matter that you find is relevant to the area of responsibility of other joint auditors, right, or you think that that deserve their attention or require certain disclosures or would require discussion with or application of judgment by the other joint auditors. If such things happen, if you consider it, if you have to take a decision, if you think that no, I have to communicate it, then you will communicate it to the relevant joint auditor or all the joint auditors in writing, right? You will give them a report that this is the area that I have encountered and I think this area requires a judgment, requires your judgment on it, requires the judgment of all of us on it. So you will communicate it. Listen, I'm not able to take a judgment on this area. I need your experience. I need your valuable words on this, thoughts on this, right? And then you sit down, you brainstorm on it, and then you come to a conclusion. But this process has to be done, has to be carried forward before the finalization of the audit report, right? If you come with that issue after the finalization of the report or after the report has been issued to the entity, then you will be the only person responsible for it, nobody else, right? So that is how you coordinate your work. So if you look at the screen, it is communicate in writing the matters of other joint auditors' responsibility by submission of a report prior to finalization of the audit, right? Now that is the portion of the standard that we had covered in the previous lecture itself. Now we move on to the portion that we need to cover in the lecture today, right? So what is it? First is the relationship among the joint auditors. So one thing that we need to understand and be very clear with is that each of the joint auditors, right, they will work on the areas that have been allocated to them. Each joint auditor is responsible only for the work allocated to him, and that is irrespective of the fact whether or not that he has prepared a separate report on the work performed by him, right? So even if he has not prepared a separate report, they're all giving a combined report, but still his area of responsibility will be taken or will be considered only for the area that he has been given, that has been allocated to him. You have a written document for that, right, to say that yes, Mr. B was allocated this area, and the problem that we have or the misstatement that we have or the fault in the report that we have pertains to some other area. So please, Mr. B is out of the scene. He is not responsible, he is not liable. Keep him away. Rest, the people who were responsible for that, call them in the office. They need to be punished, right? So basically what I mean to say is that if that is not your area of concern, then you are not responsible. That is irrespective of the fact that you have given a separate report on it or not, right? On the other hand, all the joint auditors are jointly and severally responsible for other things, right? And the prime among it is the work that is not divided. If it is divided, it is your isolated area, you are responsible for it. But if there is a work that has not been divided, it is a common responsibility of all the joint auditors. Hence, if something goes wrong in that area, then all the joint auditors will be responsible for the same, right? They will have several and joint responsibility on it. That means the responsibility would individually also occur on them plus jointly also, right? So that was very clear that okay, we will have several and joint responsibilities for the area which is not divided. Now what are the other facts or other places where you can have a joint responsibility, where you can have several or jointly, where you can be held severally or jointly responsible? You need to think. Let me tell you. Consider that there is a fact that one of the joint auditor was allocated a specific area, right? But he is not being able to take a judgment. He is not able to decide as to what should be the NTE of the procedures that he follow. And he seeks the help of other joint auditors. That okay, although this is my area, but I would want to discuss it with you and take your advice and take your judgment also for consideration. And then I will plan as to how to go ahead with that. So even if you are giving a judgment, even if you are giving out any thoughts upon that area, right, if you are giving up your valuable concept on that, then you will also keep it documented that yeah, this is the area where we all have decided mutually or we three of us have decided mutually that yeah, this will be the NTE of those procedures, the nature, time and extent, right? And then the auditor, the joint auditor who was seeking this discussion, right, he is very satisfied that okay, my problem is resolved, and he goes ahead with following the procedures, by performing the procedures, right? So in this case, all the joint auditors who were part of that discussion, right, to confirm the nature, time and extent of the audit procedure, all the joint auditors will be responsible for any fault in the nature, time and extent of the procedure, right? But if that joint auditor is not able to perform the procedures well, right, so if there is a default in the performance of the procedure, then that joint auditor will be separately liable, he'll be individually liable, because okay, you decided the nature, time and extent, but you did not perform, so that is not your liability. He performed it in a misstated way, he did not perform it right, so that is his responsibility. But if the nature, time and extent, the decision that goes wrong, if that goes for a toss, then all of you are responsible who were a part of the discussion, right? So even keeping that documented is very important, right? So now what are the other areas? Oh sorry, I didn't show it to you on the screen. Come to it. Responsible only for the work allocated to him, joint and several responsibility, right? For the work not divided, we have discussed. For joint discussions, we have discussed. Now, matter on which all of you agree. Now what does that mean? That means that there was one joint auditor who came up with a matter, who came up with an issue. The boss, I am not able to take judgment on this specific matter, I will need your help, right? And you say okay, bring out the matter, we'll see what is it. So that joint auditor places the matter in front of you, and all of you did hold a meeting and decided with the judgment. You came to a conclusion, okay, this is it, right? So that is a matter on which all of you have agreed. He is not the only person, right? You can consider this to be a state or a situation where he did shed his responsibility. Now you are all part of that responsibility. You're all responsible for those matters on which you show your consent, you give your consent, right? So the third point, matters on which all agree, is this. Next you have the disclosure requirements. This means this is one area where all of you are responsible, because this, what is disclosure requirement? Your financial reporting framework that you are following, right? They may require certain disclosures to be made in the financial statement, like the notes to accounts, like the segment reporting, right? There are so many disclosures that you are supposed to make, right, in the notes to account along with the financial statement that you give. That is a part of the financial statement. So that is not an individual responsibility, because that is not an area where you are auditing. That is a part of the overall financial statement, and when you have already individually worked on the dedicated areas, and then you come and sum up and perform or formulate that entire financial statement, then notes to account is a part of it, and you have all combined your efforts and then formulated the notes to accounts. So if there is any disclosure requirements that goes for a toss, that means you did not perform those disclosure requirements, those facts are not disclosed in the financial statement which were needed to be disclosed, then you are all jointly responsible for that disclosure. You are jointly responsible for that negligence, for that misstatement that you have made, right? Next is compliance with statutory requirements. So when we're talking about the compliance of the statutory requirement, we're talking about the statutory requirement required for the report. For example, CARO, Companies Act, right? If you are giving your opinion on Form 3CD on the tax audit, then it is Form 3CD. So that is the requirement of the statute, right? So you will have to make sure that your audit report, it complies with the requirement of the relevant statute. If it does not, then all of you will be responsible for that, because again, preparation of financial statement is a joint responsibility of all of you, and if there is some misstatement over there, then all of you will be responsible for that, right? So what are the places where you have your joint and several responsibility? It is for the work which is not divided. That is a very common thing, you don't even need to memorize it, you can write it in your exam. Next, for joint discussions, decisions. Next, the matter on which you have all agreed, the disclosure requirements of the financial statement and the compliance with the statutory requirement for the purpose of the financial reporting. right, for the purpose of your audit report, right? So now you understand the relationship among the joint auditors. This is what it is. Now we move on to the last part of the standard, which is the reporting. Now this is the last part of the standard. This is the last part of your audit as well, the reporting part, right? So this was the standard on joint auditors, right? So what did we see basically is that the joint auditors, they came together, they had a discussion, they had a meeting, and in that meeting they have allocated the areas for them, and that has been documented and submitted to the entity. So and then the auditors and the entity, they start with the work of the audit, right? Great till then. Then we saw about the coordination, that whatever it is, they communicate among each other. If there is an area and he thinks that yeah, that area is a matter of concern for the other auditor, he will let them know. If they need discussion or judgment of other auditors, he'll let them know, right? That is how you coordinate the work. And then we also have seen the responsibility of the joint auditors, the relationship among the joint auditors, what is their responsibility. So for the common area, all of them are responsible. For their individual area, they are responsible. I agreed to that also. The last part is reporting, and as we have discussed in the very beginning of the class, that they will have to issue a common report. Now is that a mandate? No, that is just a requirement. You cannot have 5 different reports published. Okay, we had 5 auditors, we'll have 5 reports published this year. This report by this auditor, this report by this auditor. You can have different qualifications, you can have different issues, different financial statement, different figure, everything. Will that be fair? Will that be just? No, it will just be a chaos. Nobody will be able to rely on any particular financial statement or any final report. So for that purpose, what you need to do is you need to give a combined report. So reporting for the joint auditors will be a combined task. They will all come together, they will form the entire report with all the requirements of the CARO and everything. If there is any emphasis on matter paragraph, they'll discuss and they'll put it over there. That yeah, okay, Mr. B, you had an emphasis, and Mr. D, you had an emphasis, let's put it over here. If there is something to be added in the other matter paragraph, they'll again put it over there. Otherwise, if there is some qualification, they will discuss. Oh, qualification, big deal. Are you sure you want to make this qualification? Let me also see. To discuss, and you consider, okay, there is a qualification required, so you qualify it. If that auditor does not want you to discuss, then you will not discuss. He'll qualify it anyway, but you will have to include it in the report, right? And then if there is some portion that he says, no, I was not able to take the information on that, the management did not share the information, and that is a material area, so I would like to disclaim the report. And again you think, what? We have made emphasis, we have written content in the other matter paragraph, we have also qualified the report. Now you want to disclaim the report? Someone else will come up, no, I want to give an adverse report. Is that? No. The others say, no, we are not going to give an adverse or disclaimer report. If there is a qualification to be made, okay, we can include this qualification. But we can include the qualification of Mr. B, that is just. But I don't think qualification of Mr. D is required. That is not a necessary thing, please let it be. So you don't include it in the report. Now what? At the end, when the report was published, right, and then there were some legal issues. The company underwent a litigation. Why? It underwent a claim. Why? Because there were certain issues, and that were the specific issues that D had identified. But other auditors did not allow D to qualify the report on that basis. So what happens now? All of them goes for a toss, all of them are responsible, all of them will be guilty. And D, although he performed his work very well, although he identified the issue, although he wanted to qualify the report on that basis, but he was not allowed to do that. So what happened at the end of the day? Even he's caught. He's trapped with all the other joint auditors. So you understand, there has to be a way out. If I don't agree to all the other auditors, I'm not supposed to be bound by the majority. Okay, the majority says it's good, it's good. No, if I consider it to be wrong, it is wrong, and I'll stand by my words. So what do you do? So D has a remedy over here. D can issue a separate report qualifying that portion. And in the market, you'll know that yeah, this is the main financials report, but there was one joint auditor who had some other opinion, and that is given in the subsequent report. That is how you publish the reports. right? So basically what did we see over here is that generally they issue a single report, right? But if there is a disagreement, they will issue a separate report on the disagreement, and none of the auditor is bound by the majority, right? There is no foundation by the majority. That is the only part of reporting, right? With this we come to the end of this accounting standards on auditing. So what did we see? The basic 4 parts: how to divide the work, how to coordinate, how to set responsibilities, and how to issue the report. So it was a very simple essay, very small essay, right? And okay, if you talk about the relevance, you may be asked questions on the joint responsibility. You will be asked about your responsibility of the division of work. You can be asked questions on any other specific area, but you know the entire content, right? So you can frame your answers very well now. And remember the difference between the joint auditor and the other auditor. Other auditor will be covered under SA 600, and joint auditor is what we have just covered, right? So with that we come to the end of this standard. If there is anything you want to communicate, anything you want to ask, please post it down into the comment box and we'll get back to you, right? So we'll cover up the other essays in the coming lectures. We'll complete all of them, and then at the end, as we had discussed, we will be discussing the questions of the past years and the questions that have been given in your practice manual, and also your RTP questions, right? Because there you will know how to write the answers, what are the words you'll be using and everything. You try to mug up those phrases, my dear friend, try to mug them up, because you will be given marks only based on those phrases that we are using in the standard. Pick up the study material of the institute, go through it, just give it a plain reading once after you have seen the class, right? Just give a plain reading, you will know what are we talking about. It will be refreshed in your mind, and just underline the phrases that you think that you need to learn. Underline the language of the institute, mug them up, you have to write that language, right? So until next class, this is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Stay tuned. Thank you. Bye bye.